Okay, so here's the thing, people go missing every single day, like not in a they forgot to text back kind of way, but in a full-on vanished off the face of the earth with zero explanation kind of way. Some leave behind clues, some leave behind chaos, and others leave behind nothing but a whole lot of WTF. Today we're diving into 10 of the strangest, creepiest, and most mind-melting disappearances that'll have you side-eyeing forests, highways, and probably your own reflection. Real cases, real weird, and of course served with a side of our usual unfiltered chaos. Buckle up, it's gonna get unsettling. 1. Brian Schaefer, the man who walked into a bar and never walked out. Columbus, Ohio, 2006. Brian Schaefer, a 27-year-old med student, went out with friends to a bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloon. Yes, really, to celebrate spring break. Security footage showed him entering the bar, but not leaving, ever. Despite camera coverage of all exits, Brian literally vanished inside. His friends thought he'd gone home. He didn't. His phone would occasionally ring 4 days after, but no one ever heard from him again. Imagine vanishing from a place named Ugly Tuna Saloon. That's not just disappearing, that's disappearing with bad branding. The cameras said nah, reality glitched, and Brian just dipped into the void like it was a Taco Bell bathroom dimension, and that phone ringing 4 days after. That's not hope, that's horror movie trailer energy. If your bestie goes missing in a bar, you better turn into Nancy Drew real quick or you're next. 2. Brandon Swanson, I'm right here, but he wasn't. Marshall, Minnesota, 2008. Brandon Swanson, 19, called his parents after his car went into a ditch late at night. He said he was near Lind, Minnesota, and started walking toward a town light. He stayed on the phone with them for 47 minutes before suddenly saying, "Oh shit." Then silence. They searched the area for years. His car was found. Brandon was not. This one feels like every small-town horror story ever. Kid in a ditch, dark road, phone call, ominous last words like bro, how are you gonna disappear mid-conversation like it's a season finale cliffhanger? Also, let's talk about the Midwest. Why does every story there sound like it involves a cornfield demon or a ghost in overalls? Brandon deserved better than to become an unsolvable puzzle with zero closure. That's messed up. 3. Maura Murray, the Og Internet Rabbit Hole, Haverhill, New Hampshire, 2004. 21-year-old Maura Murray emailed her professors that she was taking a week off due to a family emergency. There wasn't one. She then packed her car with booze, snacks, and mystery and crashed it on a rural road. A passing bus driver offered help. She declined. Police arrived minutes later and Maura was gone, never seen again. Not a single reliable lead in 20-plus years. Maura walked so true crime YouTubers could run. Her case invented Reddit conspiracy culture. A girl vanishes between a car crash and a police arrival like she fast-traveled out of the map. Theories. Everything from a secret life to alien abduction to a hit job by Big Alcohol. But seriously, how do you just nope out of existence in rural New Hampshire like it's Narnia? Maura left a plot twist with no sequel. 4. Jason Yolkowski, the shortest walk that never ended. Omaha, Nebraska, 2001. Jason, 19, agreed to meet a co-worker at a nearby high school 8 blocks from his house so they could carpool to work. He was last seen by his brother walking out of the house. He never made it to the high school, never arrived at work. No security footage, no sightings, no leads, just silence. His case remains one of Nebraska's biggest mysteries. 8 blocks. 8 blocks. That's not even a full should I Uber or walk situation. Jason was just vibing, then vanished like your Wi-Fi in the middle of a Zoom call. This one hits extra weird because it's so normal. No spooky woods, no crashing cars, just a teenage boy doing something routine. It's like the world glitched and swallowed him before second period. Terrifying and unfair. 5. Chris Kremers and Liz Froon, the Panama Jungle Nightmare, Panama, 2014. Dutch students Chris and Lizen went hiking during their trip to Panama and never came back. Weeks later, their belongings were found: phones, a camera, and eventually bones. The phones showed multiple attempts to call emergency services. The camera, hundreds of eerie photos, including some taken in pitch darkness deep in the jungle. Some of Chris's bones had bleach on them. Authorities ruled it an accident. The public said, yeah, no. This one feels like Blair Witch but real and 1000% worse. The camera roll was like a found footage horror movie. Who takes 90+ flash photos in the middle of the night unless they're running from something? Or to something. And the bleach on the bones. Girl, what kind of DIY skeleton cleaning are we dealing with? Either the jungle's haunted, or Panama's got a secret monster no one talks about. 6. Sneha and Philip missing during 9/11's New York City 2001. Sneha, a physician, was last seen the night before the 9/11's attacks, shopping near her apartment. She was supposed to return home but never did. Her husband believed she died helping victims at Ground Zero. Others point to inconsistencies in her timeline and personal struggles. She was officially declared a 9/11's victim in 2008, but no physical trace was ever found. This case is a heartbreaker wrapped in a conspiracy burrito, like she might have gone out a literal hero, and yet we'll never know. The overlap with 9/11's turned her disappearance into this murky mix of tragedy, miscommunication, and national chaos. Either way, the system kind of failed her twice, once when she vanished, and again when they couldn't even decide what really happened. Sneha deserves more than being a footnote in a disaster. 7. Bryce Laspisa. The red flags were waving. Castaic Lake, California 2013. 19-year-old Bryce told his mom he was coming home after acting off with friends. Instead of showing up, he drove for hours, then parked near Castaic Lake for over a day. His car was later found at the bottom of an embankment, flipped and empty. His phone, laptop, and wallet were still inside. No body, no trace, just unanswered questions and what ifs. This one feels like watching a slow-motion car crash you can't stop. Bryce was spiraling and nobody could figure out why. The fact that he sat in his car for nearly 24 hours like he was buffering Ireland is unsettling, and then the crash with no body. This man pulled a full Houdini after yeeting his car off a cliff. California, explain yourselves. 8. Frederick Valentic. Aliens or Nah? Bass Strait, Australia 1978. Frederick, a 20-year-old pilot, vanished while flying a small plane over the Bass Strait. Before disappearing, he radioed air traffic control claiming he was being followed by a strange aircraft described as shiny, metallic, and hovering. His last transmission. It's not an aircraft. No trace of him or his plane has ever been found. Sir, I'm sorry, but if I ever mutter it's not an aircraft on a plane, just know I'm being abducted. Like that is the final boss line before you get probed by E.T.'s sketchy cousins. This case is either a terrifying accident or one of the most convincing alien encounters ever. Either way, Frederick said beam me up and never looked back. 9. The Sodder Children. 5 kids, 0 answers. Fayetteville, West Virginia 1945. On Christmas Eve, a fire destroyed the Sodder family home. George and Jenny Sodder and 4 of their children escaped, but 5 others were never found. No remains were in the ashes. A phone call before the fire, a missing ladder, and sightings of the kids years later fueled suspicions that they were kidnapped. Authorities refused to reopen the case. The parents even put up a billboard for decades. 5 kids don't just vanish mid-fire without leaving even one crispy Lego behind. The vibes here. Suspicious with a side of government conspiracy, and the billboard the parents put up. Iconic but tragic. Imagine going full-time Nancy Drew while the police are like, house fires be like that. If this isn't a cover-up, I'll eat my own haunted sock. 10 Dior Kunz. JRB. The baby who vanished in broad daylight. Lemhi County, Idaho 2015. 2-year-old Dior was on a camping trip with his parents, grandfather, and a friend. 1 minute he was playing by the campsite. The next gone. The timeline was inconsistent. The search came up empty, and investigators straight up said the parents weren't being honest. To this day, no remains or evidence have been found, and every person who was on that trip has a different story. This case screams family camping trip with a side of horror movie energy. Like how do 4 adults lose sight of a toddler in the middle of nowhere and not one of them has a consistent timeline? That's not just suspicious, it's Netflix docu-series levels of shady. I've seen less plot holes in a Ryan Murphy show. Poor Dior deserved so much better than this mess. So yeah, apparently the scariest thing in the world isn't ghosts or demons, it's just people vanishing into thin air. Stay weird, stay aware, and maybe don't go into the woods alone unless you really hate being found. Catch you next time unless you become Case 21.